I did a Ben Simmons. I was at the
Ben
rim, but then I
Simmons.
passed. All right, so we're going through the we got off cam Taj.
All right, so naturally when you get men and women together, there are going to be relationship questions that get asked, right? So this question says, why do you think men portray themselves in a perfect light up front only to change later? And in parentheses, they put for the worst.
I'm glad you parentheses for the worst part, because I don't think it's necessarily just for the worst, but I think it's just a natural thing, though. Like, I think anybody does it. Like, when you go into the job interview, you're different than how you are 2 weeks into the job. So, I mean, I think it's just a natural thing about men have to sell themselves. You have to, there's a lot of competition out here, too. I mean, you want to make yourself look like you're the best option, especially if you're going for a woman that has something about herself. So, I mean, I think it's just a natural thing.
Yeah, I definitely I agree to what you said. And one thing I would also say is that I think that we as men, which is, I'm not saying this is wrong or right, but what I do believe is that, like, if you're a man if you're a man and you're attracted to a specific woman, you generally pedestal her in a way that it makes you feel that you have to overachieve as well.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So it's literally the fact that you put her on that pedestal. It's like got you feeling like you have to do more than be yourself.
Or you know that there's gonna be, all this. If she's a prize, you gotta win a prize. You gotta go out there, like, you can't just be you gotta.
I think that's the
woman the prize.
I swear, these
I'm just,
at the end of the day, hey, you can hold an L off of that question.
Well,
He was trying to throw you right under the damn.
I'm not the prize.
So are you DJ Academics or you the girl?
I'm not academics.
You ain't DJ.
I'm not academics. I'm the prize.
I am the prize, bro. I feel like I am, bro.
I had a guy tell me.
I think that inside an equitable relationship, both people should feel that they are prize-worthy.
I think the relationship is the prize.
That's a cop-out. That's one of them.
So that's
a Newton answer, right?
The relationship is the prize.
But no, but honestly, do I think that I bring a bunch of things to the table in which a lot of guys can't? Yes, I think that inside multiple aspects for sure. But I also look for a woman that does the exact same thing, so that there's, we both come in with a sense of self-worth, and then there's a value to which we're adding to each other. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like, it shouldn't be one prize. Like, you could pull multiple prizes for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Speaking of that, I had a guy tell me that, and I didn't know how to feel in that moment. He was like, I'm the prize. And I literally just shut the fuck up because I was confused. I was trying to process, like...
Y'all was arguing?
Academics?
That was you on that video. Damn.
Exactly.
No,
we had an off cam Taj sighting. That's what that was.
And my thing is that it's funny to say the prize. I guess if you say a prize,
it's
different.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to fully process that, because I'm like, hold up, what? That's my first time ever hearing anybody say that to me.
So was it during an argument?
I don't think it was necessarily an argument. I think it was just like maybe like a little small like disagreement, but we were talking back and forth.
All right,
and that was kind of thrown in there, and it was just kind of like.
So let me ask you this: do you think that he was a prize?
Not for me.
No, the prize.
The prize.
Not for me, because it was multiple aspects to where I knew that there was better for me personally. Now, that's not to say that for another woman he won't be, the apple of her eye, but for me, it just wasn't.
Yeah. Well, no, I got a question. I was going to say, why did he feel like he was the prize?
I swear I was going to ask the same shit.
See, when he said that, I didn't have a rebuttal because I didn't know how to process it. That's why I just shut up, because I was like, huh?
Because that's a crazy, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like one of those like things that you just throw left field, and the person that's receiving it don't really know how to take it, so they just stop talking. They're just like, what?
Yeah, I think that when you have a relationship, when somebody is the prize, I think that means that there's like a seesaw thing where like it's something that's highly outweighed. Where like if it's a guy that makes $100 million, then he's completely supplying every single thing that's happening, right? And quote unquote, that's where he'll be like, I'm the prize. Or if it's a woman who's clearly way out of your league, and you batting way above average, with just that woman, she is the like when you walk in the room and niggas, that's you. It's one of those where it's like,
honestly, I don't necessarily
That should
feel
be
that
that'd be
way.
a gift and a curse though, bro. Like sometimes.
I don't necessarily feel that way. I think that like it doesn't. I don't think that it has to be like an extreme.
no, if we're saying the prize, not a
Oh,
prize.
okay.
Like when people say that I'm the prize in the
get it.
relationship, not saying like
Yeah.
if you're a prize, but when people make that statement, I think that it has to be completely unequal.
And when I think people make that statement, it's gonna be a curse that come with that gift too. Because if somebody tell you I'm the prize, that means they know that, or they,
Now they holding leverage.
yeah, they trying to
That's what
hold
they saying.
leverage, and that means it's gonna be an unequitable situation.
Yes, sir.
You know, if you say if I'm the prize, that means you got to do X, Y, and Z to earn the prize instead of both people being prizes, or like I say, the relationship being a prize. But I think it's just you got to watch out for that kind of specific language though when people say that shit.
And you know something, but this is kind of switching gears. Did you had something to add to that? This is switching gears. There was a conversation at game night that it wasn't actually on the actual film portion of it.
Okay.
And I can't remember the exact question that was asked, but the term independent woman came up.
Okay.
And so it was I can't remember the exact question. So I would ask, I just want to ask this question to you all. Matter of fact, off cam Taj, do you mind giving us a definition or your definition of what an independent woman is?
I think an independent woman is just a woman who financially can manage her own. It's just like kind of like, being an adult to an extent. Like you're able to sustain a job. You're able to properly manage your finances so that then lends you to like having a house or a home that you can maintain. You make sure your bills are caught up. Like you're taking care of your responsibilities financially to make sure that like you're good. To me, that's what an independent woman is. I do think that they're like the hyper independent women that just wants to do everything themselves and I really don't need anybody. Like I just want to do everything. But typically the independent woman to me is just a woman who's able to, live day to day, sustain herself financially. Stability, to me, that's what I would think about when I would hear independent woman.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you used the word adult, because to me that's actually that was how the conversation ended up going. It was like, okay, so is it an independent woman or is it an adult woman? Is you won't hear like I'm an independent man,
right? But I also think that
that's just a man.
It's a little different, but there is like a basis of where that terminology would come from, right? Because the independent
single mother aspect, is that what
not even that.
Okay.
I think that an independent woman, the reason why it's a statement is because it's a woman that's providing what a man traditionally would provide for her as an adult. So, like, if we go inside the traditional lens of things, women wouldn't necessarily be providing their own house, car, like all those provisions in which, in a traditional relationship, a man does. So, like, I think that's where, like, pretty much the terminology is because of traditionally a female adult didn't have specific responsibilities when it came to the financial portion and providing. In which then she does inside that scope. So
the thing that was kind of crazy for me is because like I noticed that like that term itself, it has to me when I hear it being used, it has a negative connotation to me.
I think it started with Destiny's Child though. That's my first time hearing it.
Hey, so let me ask this though real quick. Do y'all think an independent woman can be a kept woman?
A kept woman?
What is a
as
kept
far as
woman
like
mean?
taken care of? Like, can an independent woman be like traditionally
Rough as shit?
Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't try it.
I don't understand the question.
Pretty much,
as far as like could an independent woman be in a traditional relationship? I guess that would be.
I think we have
probably not, but she could be in a modern relationship.
That'll be rough trying to do that, boy.
Yeah, I don't think an independent woman would probably want to be inside a traditional relationship, but I could see her being.
I think some of them do say that they want. A lot of them.
You know, it's a lot of women who believe like,
a lot of them.
Be independent, and I'm gonna get a rich millionaire baller, and he gonna take care of me too. So like, it's not.
Well, let me ask this. Like, I mean, what about like? And I don't know these people by example, but like, what about like a Beyonce, Jay-Z type thing? You think that's more of a traditional relationship, or that's more?
I think it's more modern. I think it's just
that's more modern.
Yeah, that's modern.
Both of them bring a whole bunch to the table and can provide a whole lot.
I mean, but it looks pretty traditional though. As far as
And
I think Jay-Z
what way
is
does
more
it
of the
look?
leader.
I don't
As
see
far as
where
like
you
when it
see
comes
it
to the
at.
household,
What do you?
They don't show their
I don't know how
relationship.
you see
How
how
are
they
you
run the
gathering this
household.
information?
I ain't seen those videos.
What makes you think that they both
I
work?
mean, it's just the
They both
idea
are
that I
like,
had. I mean,
what
I just
makes-
see it.
It's an inference.
I've just seen it, and
No,
it
but
feels
again, when you're
traditional.
saying you've seen it, what does that mean?
Bro, we've all seen their relationship.
No,
No,
not necessarily.
haven't.
We have not
I
seen
didn't
their
see the
relationships.
clips, bro.
We see a couple photos.
Hey, it was a question.
All right, but Johnny,
It was a question.
hold on, Johnny, hold on, stop,
It was a
stop. Because
question.
we've actually defined traditional relationships.
No, I get
And
that.
there's no
I get
part
that.
of their
Okay.
relationship that goes to our definition.
It was a question. It was a
If
question.
you're talking about the fact that, like, he's still a man and she a woman, and they got kids, I guess. But, like, I can't
That's
say
why I formed it as question format, so y'all wouldn't come with this kind of. But it was a question.
animosity.
So I'm just gonna dial it back previously, and when we as a show established the definitions of traditional and modern, to me, I feel like what Q was saying, they are in a more modern relationship. Beyonce is a boss woman, right? Like she has her own record label, she has her clothing line. She's very
bringing
hands
the beat
on.
to the table.
Yeah, she's
A
very
whole
hands on with her music. She's very hands on with the production of her concerts. Like if you ever look at any of her concert setup things that she put out, she's literally talking to them about the lights and the sound and the beats and things like that. Like she's very hands on when it comes to all that. But when I also look at Beyonce, I see a woman that's very soft and feminine. So I think that's kind of where that comes into play. Like she's not like this hard woman walking around and with an attitude.
She still looks like she's submissive.
Yeah,
Hold on.
she's a
And
very soft
I was
woman.
gonna say
when
I got
look
a
at
question,
her.
and
Yeah.
maybe this might be a better question because y'all ain't like the first question. This might be a better question. Then this might be a better question. I think I might have got it. So okay, Jay-Z and Beyonce, we're just using them as examples, by the way. But y'all would say, look, that's a modern relationship. Do y'all think there is space for a woman to be submissive
Yes.
in those modern relationships too? And
Yes.
okay, so that's
Absolutely.
what I was seeing. Then
I
it's
definitely think yes.
Yeah,
I think that balances out a relationship. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you
Oh
off.
no, you absolutely fine.
I think that balances out a relationship. Like if you are a headstrong man and you're dating a headstrong woman and y'all both are trying to compete to be head of household, like that just does not work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And that's what only thing I would say, it's a lot tougher. I would say that in most scenarios, well, no, I won't say most. In a lot of scenarios, it's probably a lot tougher. Because if let's say you are an independent woman, and the reason why I asked the question is because of the tag itself. Like to me, you don't have to. I think that whole independent woman thing, it comes with an additional mindset as well. Like when I'm an independent woman. When you actually feel and engulf the feeling and everything that comes with that tag, I think that comes with a different kind of mindset than saying like I'm an adult and I take care of my responsibilities, and then you know what I mean. So if you accept or embody the tag itself, I think that it can go a little further
But I
than
think
what.
some women go past that, like a Beyonce. She's not just an adult.
Oh no, I'm not
Like,
talking about a
yeah,
Beyonce.
Okay, but
I'm talking about regular
there
folk
are
like
women,
me and you.
But I'm saying there are women though that are very successful, like in their fields though, and they're not just adults just getting by paying bills. They're actually like exceeding bosses in their in whatever their fields are. So I think that's a little difference between just like an adult and somebody that's like very, very successful.
Yeah, I think that population is just a lot smaller than what
true.
I was trying
That's
to talk about. That I was just kind of talking more of more of inclusive of like a lot of different folk. But yeah,
Regular folk.
Your regular folk, exactly.
So when you're talking about independent woman, and something that popped in my head is that a tag that we primarily hear in the Black community?
Absolutely.
Or is it
yes.
also like, oh, there are other cultures that are also saying, oh, I'm an independent woman? Because I feel like in the Black community, that's the main thing that we hear from our women, is that they're independent women.
Right,
Absolutely.
and I think that there's probably history that you can trace to that when it comes down to single mothers having to provide and use that as a badge of honor, because of like there is, whether we want to just, we only talking about the Black community, so I'm gonna just go like that. So there is or has been a decent amount of women that have had to work with that badge, and instead of it being like a red scarlet letter. Imagine being able to turn that into a positive of like, I'm actually able to provide all these things and do these things for me, myself, and my kids.
But I think it's way more Black women in that bag than like white women, and a lot of those.
Say it again.
like as far as the single mom and having to take care, I feel like that's a lot more like black women. I'd say that's in that
Okay.
bag more so, and I think that when it comes to feminism,
Mm-hmm.
like I think they push it on black people. Like it's just a lot of the isms.
You're about to say most of the isms they get
But
black people to be crash dummies.
they push, but like white women don't necessarily
supportive.
subscribe by that
Yeah.
that way of thinking though.
Yeah, and the crazy
And
thing.
so it's like why why is it just like a black thing?
I
Um,
think that,
Or more so a
but-
black thing.
But you just answered it. Are you talking about which part? Independent woman, just a black thing, or are you talking about single moms? Black?
Just the independent woman as a whole.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a clear trace to where it comes from. So, like, if that thing is a thing and you have to find a reason to be proud of your living situation, then to me, I can see where the badge of honor has built itself up from.
Yeah, but I think that's in general, not even just in like independent woman that scope of things. I think that like the idea of like we're gonna do. I think that what we'll do is that we always try to make the negative thing I still am. You know what I mean? The trauma portion of it.
So
is like,
you wallow in the fact
no,
that
you don't have to
like,
wallow. You don't have to wallow, but you don't also have to promote it. That's like talking about being obese. Like, okay,
Think
you are
different.
no. It's to me, it's not different. We don't. What I'm saying is that like, okay, even in coming up with like the man having the like my belly, I got a beer belly and shit. So like, what I'm saying is that we'll have a negative in our culture and then twist it to be like so acceptable. And try to like mainstream it, like the whole idea that, bro, how are we going to sit here and act like being unhealthy is okay? Like we're literally pushing for, oh well, we still can, you know what I mean, bro? But we're literally doing that in multiple different
right.
facets.
But I think
narratives.
So when
It is a destructive narrative to try to promote it and act like, well, we're still, you know what I mean, bro? It's still bad. It's still bad.
right. But again, I don't specifically see, and this is where I think that's a bad comparison. Is the fact that obesity is definitely a choice. Being a single mom is not all like that's not definitely her choice. So like if like not but not like let's be real, like not our generation, but there was 2 generations before us where a lot of niggas was not shit and they left a lot of moms outside. And like so if we're talking about the origins of the single mom shit. And you being put in a situation in which you have to provide. Like matter of fact, I know a lot of guys who had that scenario. I know a lot of guys that don't talk to their pops to this day, right? In which, so could I be mad at his mom for turning those lemons into lemonade? It's hard for me.
No, it's
because
not
like, and that's the difference between obesity. Obesity is a choice. Go ahead.
No. It's not about the idea that, in which I also think that like. A lot of the times we make decisions and it puts us in a fucked up scenario, and then we want to act like it ain't because it's somebody else's fault. Bro, I'm with the 100%. Hold it, bro. You still decided that you was gonna get yourself.
So then I should cry about it then, or should I?
You shouldn't promote it. Is what I'm saying. All I'm saying is you shouldn't promote it and try to build it
in a corner.
I shouldn't create a new medal for you to goddamn because you're fucked up. We gonna make a new medal for all of the people that's fucked up and try to make it seem like that's the right thing. No, it's not. It's still not the right thing.
But it's not all the woman's fault. So
no. And I'm not talking about just that.
Hey, fellas, let's go to ties.
Go ahead.
No, I just have a question. So when you're saying promoting it, are you talking about the language that people use, like men ain't shit, or I don't like? What exactly are you?
Yeah, if you're saying I got
by-
all my own shit, like ain't nothing wrong with it. It's not even a negative connotation.
No. See, the thing is, what I'm saying is that what we do is we will. How do I want to say this? It will we'll promote the thing that the whole idea is okay. It goes back to like I don't need you. So the trope or the understanding of this independent woman dynamic, and I'm not saying I think that you should be an adult. If you our age, you should be an adult and take care of your responsibilities. But what I'm saying is that when we present it as if we're gonna give you a trophy for it, or we're gonna actually build a base to where it's like we're the, you know what I mean? I think that it's definitely more destructive than it is a help to the scenario, because
what version of it though? So because I guess like, so if we're not talking in extremes, what version are we talking about? Like a woman that's using that as like downing a man and like a leverage point, or a woman that, as you said, is an adult that can provide and do all the things that's for her. and she's saying that I'm independent. I'm an independent woman. I have all my own things.
Yeah, but I think
is that a negative thing in space?
no. What I'm saying is that I don't know. Maybe just on the surface level of what you're hearing is me trying to say like being an independent woman is a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm trying to understand the
What I'm
negative
saying
part.
is that what I'm saying is that there's an additional mindset that comes with it. If you actually, well, the ones that I've talked to, even if I got many women in my family that have been in the same scenario that you're talking about. They're independent, they had to raise the kids themselves, and I know many of those women. But in addition to that, I know that it's very hard for them to keep relationships as well.
Okay.
And I'll say that the thing is that the ideas that goes past taking care of yourself, the fact that I don't need you, the fact that I can do this, all of these things, it comes with an additional mindset that makes it very, to me, destructive to our community. And that's what I'm talking about. Not just the idea of you being an adult. Does that make sense?
Yes, I get it.
Okay.
But I think that's where I say like that's the end of it. So like a woman that's in their 20s, 30s, that's independent and has her own, but again, like if we're then talking about some of the negative characteristics, and I think that with most labels and like concepts, we can talk about the fringe good and bad of it. So yes, I think that there is some negative things that come with women that are independent, especially as they get older, right? And that will come with some of those things that you're saying. Right. So yes, I do agree with that, but I think that it's a multi-tiered thing where a woman being able to be, as you said, an adult, and if she's promoting the fact that I'm an adult, I don't really see anything wrong with that. Like that's not where it goes to the fringes at. I think that when it gets toxic, quote unquote, I think we might have defined toxic before. I think that's where we kind of go to. But in general, a woman having her own shit, I kind of promote it.
Oh,
so
no,
that
for
especially
sure.
like, hey, I have a daughter. I want my daughter to be an independent woman that understands how to be submissive inside spaces and how to be feminine in spaces and how to be able to do her own shit at spaces.
I guess I don't know. See, the thing is, we can use like the. Never mind.
What I was saying
I
to
think
Johnny is that I think that, especially when we take it to the fringes of like the 40-year-olds and different shit like that. Yes, I think that to me, I was speaking more so like 35 and under, like the 35 to 20-year-olds that are functioning women and adults in society that don't actually have to depend on a guy in which he can't leverage that inside the relationship, so she can actually pick properly. So she's not like, you know what I mean? I don't know if the word would be homie hopping, a man hopping to each guy that can like. Matter of fact, you want to know the better thing is the fact that we can't denounce city girl shit and independent women, because those are the ends of the spectrum. It's a woman that's looking for a nigga to provide everything for her, and then it's a woman that provides everything for herself.
Yeah.
So it's hard to denounce both perspectives.
Hold on. Y'all two are arguing. I didn't say nothing about
This nigga Johnny don't even. He's scared of the conversation.
Hey, I told you, nigga John, he like to keep his options open. I ain't mad
That
at
nigga
him,
said I ain't got no perspective.
I ain't mad at
Hey,
him.
that's y'all niggas.
I think that's a
Good place to put a pin in it.
This man taking
Right.
my thunder,
I felt
bro.
the
This man
same. My
taking
bad. I ain't
my
mean to take your thunder, bro. My bad.
But we'll throw it to Taj and see what else gonna come out the bowl.
All
All right. So we had Big K ask a question that was off camera from game night. So we're gonna bring it up right now. Is traditionalism hurting us religiously, as a culture,
and
politically, and in relationships?
Yeah, I mean, appreciate that. Appreciate y'all let me get off. But nah, I've even spoke about the politically as far as like we've only grown up with two parties. And the reason we don't want to hop off of that is because of traditionalism. We don't know nothing else. And then even when we talk about traditionalism, we got to understand like the era in which these traditions came from. And that's my thing is like even going back to religiously and stuff, it's like if we created these traditions in times where we weren't really free, why are we upholding them if we as black people are working to get free? And part of freedom is creating your own traditions, not living with traditions of the past and stuff. So I always talk about black sovereignty, black freedom and stuff. So we really gonna be free. We can't hold on to traditions that came about when we weren't free, because it's only gonna lead to more of our enslavement. So that's why when it comes like the way she broke it down, just it's like she connected dots, and that's all what I'm all about is taking all these different data points. You can have data points from the past. We live in the information world. We're flooded with data points,
Right.
but you got to have a critical thinking to be able to connect the dots on these data points. And the way she did it, it was a linear connection between all the data points as far as like the traditionalism, and that thinking has held us back within relationships. We're scared of modern relationships politically. We're scared to vote independent. We're scared to
right.
vote for motherfuckers who,
Johnny
might
giving
have
bars right now.
might have our best interests at heart. Religiously, we're tied to religious that like told us it was okay to be a slave. And it's like, at what point are we gonna like have the critical thinking as a culture to create our own traditions and create new modern ways of thinking and ways to be black? And that's why the way she even framed it just kind of resonated with me.
Yeah, she definitely dropped bars on the juice, and I ain't even like every single one of the Jones. I was even I'm a traditional when it comes to relationships, but I understand, and I was talking to I think Old Head yesterday. I think that we're in an important piece of our history here.
Progression is black people.
Yeah, we're an important we are in an important piece where we're starting to see people deviate from said traditions. And what comes, I'm not going to say that I believe that what comes from this is going to be better than what was, but I think down the line we'll get to a point to where it is we'll critique it enough to be able to come up with a better outcome.
Well, my thing is, if we know the traditions come from a non-freedom point of view, of course, the first new traditions we create might need some tweaking, but isn't that better than just? Isn't it better for us to define all this shit ourselves as opposed to taking their definitions of it? And even if we gotta change it a little bit, at least it's ours.
Yeah.
At least it ain't coming from like oppression.
I was about to say, I don't even think the traditions necessarily come from. Well, how did you word it? What did you say? A what point of view?
As far as like if the traditions are coming from a point of like oppression or
Yeah,
like
okay. So I don't even think necessarily that the traditions come from a point of oppression. I just think that the traditions are not ours. Like, we just adopted other people's traditions, and we don't have a history. We have a whole history that we don't know about.
right.
So it's like the stuff, like based off the foundation that we build stuff off of, none of it is really ours. So, and I think that's more so the problem.
It's never gonna work for us.
It's not so much that traditionalism is the problem. It's just we don't keep our own traditions.
I think that traditionalism still is a
And that's
problem.
crazy
Well, I'm saying,
because the
I
other
mean, like,
cultures too. The other cultures actually they have traditions that
But here's the
they've
fact-
come
but-
here
but-
and still upheld, and they are still doing
thriving
things.
in
They
their
are
own
thriving like
people.
shit, and it's different because they have their own
Explain
traditions.
some of those ones
Well-
that you would give examples.
Well, I mean, just looking at the communities that we can actually see here in Charlotte, we got a heavy I'm gonna say Indian people from India. We have a heavier population of them. We have a heavy population of Hispanic. Well, we can actually, and they're close enough to us to where we can kind of see how it is that they move, and it's definitely not the way that we're moving, which is based on how the society that they created is. You see what I'm saying? Like,
No, I guess give the examples of what you're saying, like to traditional things that they adhere to outside of like their cultural things that are like of their culture.
okay, so
Like a quinceañera and shit like that. I don't think that that's what we're specifically talking about. We're talking about like more. Go ahead.
But
I
even
just
that, even a quinceañera is a good example. That's something that they
Well, no-
honor. Like, them honoring that pays more than just a birthday party.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't think that hits on any of the actual notions in which like we're hitting,
That she
because
posed.
that's more of just like a pseudo rite of passage thing.
It's a surface level. It's
very
it's
surface
not a
level. And that-
tradition.
like that-
It's not a tradition that's based in like as far as like Republican, Democrat.
like
that tradition
socioeconomic,
is based on
impact.
holding us back. The fact that black people are like they give us Christianity and they talk about forgiveness.
The
That's something
socioeconomic part
that's
to
something that
tradition.
holds
That's really
us
what
back.
it is. Yeah.
And my thing is like the tradition. It's not a fact that we don't have our own traditions, or that it's just the fact that like us like building on these other traditions it's never going to be beneficial to us. And going back, we might not even be able to get our old traditions, but we're black people in America right
Today.
now. We got our own history. We can create new traditions
truthfully, we do
that
have
our kids and our
traditions
grandkids
that we
and
just
their
don't.
grandkids can take down this on us, as far as like we are the first free generation of black people in the information age that has all this information. And it's like, what are we gonna leave for our kids and like the 2-3 generations down? How they gonna look at us based on what we have? And we got to create new traditions.
I agree with that. That's
no, I agree completely as well. I think that just on its face, I think that how can I'm gonna just say it like this: traditionalism is void of the scientific method, right? I think that in general, we all, as the communities and societies, as humans, as black culture, as whoever, it's an evolution, and a lot of traditions are based in things that came from a time in which a lot of things that we adhere to now aren't even invented, right? In which everything needs an upgraded model. Everything. And that's why a lot of times that as things evolve, you notice how some traditions just don't fit it. Because of, again, like,
Shit changed.
Yeah.
And like you have to modify and evolve. That's literally, as a species, the best thing that you could do. And truthfully,
Darwinism, evolution.
And truthfully, if we get into that bag, right? We can sit and we can talk about black people being the best at almost about anything that you want to put it at. Us inventing more things than anybody else, and the origin of most inventions in
sports, music,
like, but
everything.
Fuck that. We talking about like actual invention. Like we can go to the light bulb and like Thomas Edison making the glass around it, but it's a black man that made the actual
filament. The filament. Yeah.
Right.
And it was too good. It was too good. They had to dumb it down because of capitalism.
And all that shit.
Right. The internet. But the truth with like what we can say is that like I just watched Wakanda forever. So if we use those words, like what the colonizers did, they evolved well. They was able to they consistently evolved in a way that they was able to exploit others, right? And that was to me that's like one of their good things. Like they weren't naturally great at anything. They weren't naturally great at anything, but what I would say that they were good at was evolution and kind of like dictating the times or whatever.
It's hard coming from them caves.
The way that they control.
Yes,
you gotta come out them caves and evolve fast. That's all I'll say.
I'm trying not to say too much, man, but because I'm like I don't want to get what y'all identify as religious, but I'm like there's literally a whole book that tells us like. I ain't gonna even just say a whole book. There are books that tell us why what happened to us happened to us. The Bible being one of them, and we choose not to read that. A big reason a lot of this stuff is not that these foreigners doggone evolved well or anything like that. It's not that they evolved well. I think it's more so that we didn't follow the foundation that we were supposed to follow. Like a parent,
I just don't believe my.
Hey Tone, I got to push back against that. Like I get it, cause me and my homeboy had the same conversation, and so he tell me like, all this shit's going like talking about it all references back to the Bible. But me as a black man in America, I can't necessarily. I have to be spiritual and not religious because I see what religion has done to us as far as how perverted. Like they let black people. They gave Christianity to slaves and. That was what kept them slaves, so I can't necessarily just rock with that. I understand
they also couldn't read this shit too.
But that's the only book they could read. That's the only book they would let them read. But my point is, I have to be spiritual because I have to be open to the other religions because I see what Christianity in America has done to my people.
I would agree that it has. I would say still look into it. Christianity is not the religion we're supposed to be following, but there is a lot that we need to figure out how it became Christianity. That's what I'm saying. And people dismiss the Bible like a lot of people talk about the Bible. Black people don't read the Bible. Black people don't read it. So how can we talk about it and sit there and be like, "Oh, Christianity,"
and you ain't seen it,
and we ain't read it.
Yeah,
we read it for ourselves.
But hold on, Tone. I only want to interject in the sense that have you read the Quran? Have you read the Torah? Have you read so that same statement?
Okay, so the Torah is the Bible.
Got you.
It's the Old Testament.
It's the Old Testament.
All right, cool.
The Quran is part of the Old Testament and everything.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. But
came from.
It's a different translation. It is a different translation.
But what my point of it is that any of those religious things can kind of like you can kind of make that exact statement. That's the point that I'm making. But it then also means that like for you, you believe, and your belief system is built off of the idea that Christianity is the or like whatever, however you
Hold on.
trade.
Before you
Let me
clarify what I believe.
All right.
My belief system is based off of I've looked at everything, and it keeps coming back to the same book. As far as black people go, it comes back to the same book. And I'll make one last statement. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't even want to keep talking about this. Watch Reclaiming the Throne on Tubi. It's free. Reclaiming the Throne. It explained everything, broke down.
No, I get you.
On the To Be Fair show, y'all follow the page
and look at Tubi for sure. No, I guess what I'm saying is just like, sure, like your belief system is your belief system, right? And it's built off of your belief with inside like this doctrine, this religious doctrine. And I think that is fair and it's cool and that's that's perfect. But the idea of thinking that everybody has to subscribe and believe inside that exact same thing, and that's the way that is going to make it to where everything works, I think that's going to be tough, and history has shown that that's not the answer. Go ahead.
I got another point. I think like outside, like white people didn't like, or the people didn't become like as powerful as they had just based off religion though. Like they ain't just like it was a part of it, but they also had like a bunch of like militaries and stuff to fight. But what I'm saying is, us as black people, we gotta not like just fall victim to subscribing to one religious. We gotta also fight for
so
ourselves.
let me clarify myself. I get what y'all saying, but let me clarify
like
for myself.
Capitalism and stuff. So it's not just religion; it's a part of it, but there's also so much more infrastructure that comes.
I'm being honest, I don't think religion makes a difference in the whole shit. I think there's so many more like real life things that you have to actually operate by. But I'm gonna also go out on the ledge and say that I do not believe in any religious doctrine that looks at me as a cursed person, and that everything like that.
We not the people of Ham.
I don't look at
y'all
any.
didn't read. If you
no, that's cool. But I've heard that. No, cool.
I get that point too. We're not the.
That's not what the doctrine says.
Cool.
Right.
But I'll take it even further back. None of that is my belief system. So like my belief system isn't based on that, and I fuck with people who have other belief systems. And my point is the fact that everybody is going to have multiple belief systems. And for you, that belief system is going to work for you. And it could be like your direct community and it can branch out for itself. But the idea of thinking that everybody's going to believe inside a super nuanced version of spirituality, religion, I think that's harder. Like that, I think that's tough. And again, history on every level has shown that that's not it. That's the thing that has separated and caused the most wars.
I would
is
agree.
The nuance of religion.
We're arguing the same point. I would agree, but you keep putting me inside. You keep putting what I'm saying inside the topic of religion, and I'm not being religious.
all agree on.
I'm not trying to be religious.
But you're making you're making a factual statement based on your belief system.
I'm not making a factual statement based on my belief system. What I'm telling you is that history has proven there's history to show it. No, that's what I'm saying. There's history that shows that we did not who we were before we got here. Why this stuff all happened. And what I'm saying is that doctrine that you're referring to that you says it tells you you're a cursed people. What that doctrine actually says is that God made a covenant with us and we had we had a choice in what we decided. We could go this route, which there is history that shows we was taking over places and everything in the name of Yah. There's so many places in Africa with the name Yah at the end because they were honoring God. That's why we was able to take over all these kingdoms and you heard about all these kings because they was honoring Yah. That was our people. Now we came to America and they taught us Christianity, which is a religion. It's not the way of God. That's what I'm saying. The true living God is not the way of. And what I would say to anybody is don't be religious. Ask God to reveal it to you. God real. If you believe in God and you don't believe in Christianity, that's you on the right track. Go ahead and ask God to reveal the truth to you because everybody's truth might be different. I'm not trying to put anybody in any religious boat or tell anybody they have to believe what I believe. Study to show thyself approved. Point blank.
Yeah, I think. And
mic drop.
Yeah, I think he did just drop it.
That was a mic drop.
Yeah, he just dropped that.
Like bro said.
Yeah, he just dropped that.
Bro said it like you gotta run it back. Bro said a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Oh no, he did. I
said
guess
a lot.
I'm gonna allow y'all to kind of like take that as itself.
I mean,
I think that
I feel what you're saying though. As far as like, I want to kind of mediate it a little bit, but I understand what you're saying as far as like.
No, I think so. Let me say what I'm saying.
I'll let you finish.
I think that again, even if we just This isn't even necessarily we'll kind of cut it where we end up cutting it at. But again, even that diatribe of right then was based off of a certain level of belief inside. When we get into when we get into XYZ, and people like so now, if I have a Buddhist homie or somebody that practices Taoism or Hinduism or whatnot, and like they have a completely different perspective on these things and their way of like again like getting into like the whole spiritual whatever, and that being the answer of things. And that's the way that we trace our etymology as in like as humans. I think that it's such a weird, slippery slope for sure.
I ain't saying shit. You got it, bro.
The only thing I'll say, right, is and I've been listening, rocking with Tone, and you know what I mean. To me, I ain't gonna say I'll say like I find it interesting, and it's actually definitely I like the idea that you know what I mean. You can choose whichever way that you gonna go with the show. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
You definitely can choose. But what I will say is that it'll be easier to actually convince somebody if you can show, if you can show me that this works. If you can show me and I can see that it's working, you know what I mean. If you can show me, then I mean I'll be more apt to believe, or not even necessarily believe. It's just like I can accept more of what you're saying once you can prove to me the benefit of said thing. So I'll my thing is I pull from different genres. So like whether it be the Bible or the Quran or you know what I mean. I like the I think that it's good in all of it.
Yes, and that's the spaces that I agree with.
Yeah, and so like
sure.
and the way I move is generally just gonna be like, you know what I mean. I'm gonna be upstanding regardless. Like, and I'm gonna stand true to who I am and what I believe. And you know what I mean. I am welcoming any other idea, but don't try to make yours true and mine not.
Well, you
just said everything. This is where I agree with.
Let me jump in there. Where as far as like. I understand both sides. Like I said, it's something I said I was gonna try to do less of being understanding, but like I get both sides, but I want to try to bring it to the middle as far as like I think like our religion doesn't matter when it comes to sovereignty and when it comes to black people moving and creating freedom and power. Religion does not matter because that's
you didn't bring it to the side. You brought it to my side. That's my point.
But no, look, I ain't done yet.
I think none of that shit makes a difference. I think that the principles is the people that we live by.
I ain't done yet.
Are gonna end up being those things.
I ain't done yet though. I ain't done yet. I think it's about like infrastructure.
Oh my bad, you about to go back on the other side.
But when it comes to what culture hasn't based their traditions off some type of religion? You know, and it's like
let's go Chinese and Japan right now.
Even when
the niggas on top of the world are atheists.
But even in America, but I'm saying the primary religion. Hey, time out.
Like the biggest world superpower. And again, this is
so because they're the biggest world superpower. That mean they're the most important.
Hey yo,
right now nobody want to go to war with China.
Let me finish.
Let's be real.
Let me finish. But they got some religion though. It's not.
What is their said like religion for the country? It's atheism. That's what it is.
Yeah, please, because I've never heard of it.
But I also know they're religious persecutors too, though. Like you can't. There's other religion. But my point wasn't even that though. My thing is like. We have to move without religion as far as creating the infrastructure, but then when it comes China, but when it comes to
it's gonna be one of them.
Us having a history and a direction and us knowing what's supposed to be, I do see where the stories of the Bible correlate as far as what has happened to black people and the struggle that we went through. I don't think we have to necessarily operate in that lens as far as like, but we can use it as inspiration to what we do in capitalism.
Let me clarify one more time.
I want to China. It says China has the world's biggest religious population, and Chinese government and ruling Chinese Communist Party is officially atheist. That's the point that I was making.
So that means the people there, that's what they believe because the Chinese Communist Party, who represents the belief or who puts out the belief.
That'd be like saying Americans are atheists because Republicans are Democrats.
No.
But that's all the CCP is.
What this would be saying is that America is a Christian country, which is the truth. There's multiple religions that exist within America, but the general ruling class is Christian. That's what that's saying. That's the point that I'm saying. And again, like this is like I'm not an atheist, so I'm not making an atheist stand.
It's also
right?
not the same. It's not a democracy as well, so it's gonna be.
But that goes even more to the way that they can rule that.
Make sure that you are atheist.
Yeah, and that's the point that I'm saying.
No, I get it.
But my thing is, I mean, I think, and I want to, I'm trying to bridge.
Now I'm about to argue with Tone, bro.
I'm trying to bridge. Yeah,
this is going back. This is like doggone, like what, 15 years in the back. We do this like since.
I'm trying to bridge the gap a little bit because I can understand both sides, but I think like black people, and it's all I'm speaking on, like fuck China, fuck like slavery, like Christianity. I care about black people in America right now,
and that's
like
my point.
right now.
And that's my point.
And what I'm saying is, we might not necessarily have to or need to move off religion. It needs to be an understood thing because the script and the text spells out what has happened to us. But what I'm saying, moving forward, we don't necessarily need to go off the script. We need to go off infrastructure, and we need to go off how to move.
History. It gives a good history.
It gives a perspective of how to move.
Saying.
But moving forward, we don't necessarily need to do that. We just needs to be the perspective that we use to create the infrastructure that we need in America, in capitalism. Because the story of like the who was it? The Israelites and the House of Judah
and people all over Africa. It goes even further.
That's what happened to us, and we don't have no real history. We can't go back like all our last names is probably some white people shit. And we ain't got no African last names. None of us do. So we don't have no history to lean into outside of that.
And that's all I'm saying. This history is all. What I'm saying is it's a lot of history about us in this Bible. I'm not saying that you have to believe everything. What I'm saying is I believe there's one God, and that God will reveal everything to you. That's what I believe. I believe there's one God, and that if you ask God to reveal everything to you, He will. That's really my belief. I'm not trying to push nothing on nobody else.
Right.
All right.
No, and I think that's a fair belief system, and I think that's the space in which, I think most people operate. That I'm spiritual and not necessarily religious. That's kind of what you just summed up inside that. But I'm gonna also say that I also don't believe that the Bible is specifically the religion. It's not the history book of black people. I believe in the things that I believe in the history of black people that is actually proven.
Okay, so my whole thing is... Hold on.
That's my
right at the point you just
like that has archaeological...
You said that can be proven. It can be proven. I'm telling you that. That's what I've been telling you the whole time. It's all proven. It's all there.
As long as I don't have to believe anything for it to be proven.
But if you never read the Bible and
I'm saying how much of your history can you prove? How much of your history can you prove?
And I think
it's not about being Christian.
No, I got you. So I'm telling you, I
read it to know it's a history.
But I also want to say, have you ever read the Quran? So like we can all say if you've ever read a specific book, and we can like point
the Quran even references Jesus.
Oh no, but nobody ever said that it didn't. That's not the point.
My thing is,
those are interjections that go away from the actual point. Like I never said that Jesus wasn't in the Bible. Jesus is in the Bible more than Muhammad is. So I understand that. That's not
what I'm saying is I don't find
Jesus is inside the Quran.
But one thing is, Quinn, you said provable history. How much of black people in America do we have a provable history?
Right, but how much?
Go back past a certain point. Cool. There is no provable history.
But if we talking about progression, to me, I also would rather go on solid things in which I'm able to observe and trace to be able to build off what I want to go for.
So that means most black people don't have a history past 1800 then.
So is that what you really believe? Or do you not believe that black people are not descendants of Africans?
But what's provable past 18? What's provable?
So Africa doesn't have a provable history behind 1800s.
Is that what I'm saying? Our connection to that history. How much of our connection?
So do you believe that we are descendants of Africans? Yes or no? Then we can take it to the continent.
Reclaiming the throne on Tubi.
That's a bad faith argument.
Reclaiming the Throne on Tubi and then have this conversation. You ain't even got to read the Bible. Go watch Reclaiming the Throne on Tubi. If you feel the same way when you finish watching it, that ain't no proof, then come back and tell me that. Tell me that this dude lying. Because I'm telling you, he got all of the proof right there.
But
and
you know
I watched 2 episodes, 4 hours.
I can also watch
proof.
a flat earther give me mad great proof about a lot of shit. This is the fact. I watched somebody give me really good proof that Martians.
So you have
on America.
So they gave you proof of your people on the walls carved in as slaves. Like they gave you proof of that.
You said who did?
Your people, the people who our ancestors in slavery, in bondage, on the walls in stone. This is written in stone.
Are you talking about
all over the world? It's all over the world. We came from all over the world. That's what I'm saying.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly. So what you're saying is that black people all over the world are written in stone as slaves.
Not just written in stone.
No,
But I'm saying this.
That's what you were just yelling
I'm
about.
saying there's proof
I want to make sure
of this stuff in the.
Or hold on. Let me make this point. Or was there slaves in society? And
What
they
I'm saying is there was prophecies in the Bible.
Like was it like only the black people, and then there was white people that wasn't slaves?
Fella, hey.
Like again, like we can't like go to the point where like we're convoluting it, and then like it's slaves there, so those got to be black people.
Hey.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
All the people there,
Hey, fellas.
and there was also slaves there, and that's what's on the wall. I'm just asking.
I'm gonna let him finish.
I'm just wondering.
But I think this would be a good point to ask the people to comment below. And if y'all know something that we don't know, let us know. If y'all got some documentaries, hit us down there. Tell us what to look at. Cause we clearly not gonna get to know.
Oh, that shit's not happening.
We ain't gonna get to know.
I don't even. But the thing is, I don't even think that
camera.
the reason. And see, that's the thing about it is like when you have conversations like this, there is no point in where we're gonna be on the same page. So I don't even know.
We'll be here for the next 3 hours. Like we'll be next.
Right.
Even after the next 3 hours, there's gonna be no.
It's gonna be disagreement.
But that goes to my, I just want that goes to my overall point is the fact that this is why religion shouldn't be the basis in which we are making decisions as black people, and like we should base it more principled.
Yeah.
Religion
I said that also. It shouldn't be the point.
Hey, I'll leave it at
that. But and yeah, like fuck it. Follow the To Be Fair Show on Facebook, Instagram,
TikTok.
If y'all got any comment, this was good. This was good. Y'all let us know below. Y'all fucking with Sir A Dot, messing with Sir A Dot, Q,
or Johnny P.
Because I'm in the middle. Even Rail.
Oh my bad. Yeah, Johnny, you easy. You the cop out. You always the middle.
I'm the bridge. I'm the bridge between the 2 points. If you got 2 islands, you gotta have a bridge to be able to communicate. So I look at myself as that. But I think we'll throw it to off cam Taj for another question.
And we're gonna wrap this up with one last question from Game Night. Going back to relationships, where do you feel there's a disconnect between men and women?
That's rough.
Who want to answer that?
I'll let you start it off. Big Q.
Okay. All right. I'm a completely freestylist because I haven't thought about it. Disconnect between men and women probably would go from needs and wants. I think that let me think. If I'm speaking about the overall discourse between men and women, online, in person, in the conversations that I have, I think that both people. All right, here we go. I think that both sides look at each other as predators. And I think that because of that, there's so much defensiveness that comes with it. Where if I hear a lot of men talk, you hear a lot of men talk about women coming to exploit them, wanting them to do X, Y, and Z, and kind of like running up the bag on them and leaving them. Or like it's a bunch of different like city, I guess you could say city girl behavior type shits that you hear inside modern situations and scenarios that a guys might complain about. That'd be a version. And with women, like, there's the idea of, like, just a man and, I don't know, it's hard for me to speak for women, but usually it still comes from, like, a predatory leverage behavior situation in which I think the average man and woman both are looking for a solid human being to be with. And that gets lost in translation with a lot of shit. A lot of people bring different versions of the representatives to the situation in which doesn't exemplify who they are and what they want. And matter of fact, I think an even better point is the fact that I think a lot of men and a lot of women don't know exactly what they want. They know what society tells them, whether it's from being like in a traditional scenario or being an independent woman or some shit like that. A lot of people don't know what you're able to provide, what you actually want, what you actually need, and what is, just inside your wheelhouse of shit. And that's what I'll say.
And I guess I'll say, let me see, the biggest disconnect between men and women. I'm gonna say it's the transitionary period we are in. I think that we're redefining everything. at this point. So it's going to take some time for us to get on the same page because this is a whole new book. And this new book has some different requirements and qualifications that didn't necessarily weren't necessarily um, needed or required previously. Um, and then I think that I think a large portion of it too is that us as men, we've never really had to articulate emotion. And it's not the easy or articulate. We generally shut down a lot, whereas now we come into a time where we're speaking out more, and it's almost like it's not almost it's a requirement that we have to adjust um to make the relationships actually better, to check more boxes that the modern times have added to the boxes to that we were supposed to be checking previously. And it's just going to be a growth thing. I think that it's gonna take some time for us to find a common ground, and men, I think it's a good thing that we're speaking out more. Um, but it's just going to take us some time before we can actually find an even playing field and understand exactly what we need and want from one another.
Excuse me. But now I'll say I'm gonna build on piggyback on a little bit of both of you guys' answer as far as I think it's communication. I think like I don't think people know what they want, but I think that comes from people not really knowing themselves in today's world. As far as you get a lot of different voices, about what you should want, or this is what X, Y, and Z does, this is what A, B, C does, one, two, three, whatever. Where like I don't think people necessarily understand when certain situations actually apply to them and when they don't. So I think it just comes down to communication. Uh, like you say, like some of the things, defining certain terms, understand when you might be like. Sometimes I think men and women agree on a lot of certain things. They just use different terms or different terminology and end up talking in circles. So it just comes down to having spaces to where, you know, I don't like to use the word safe spaces, but just spaces where you can have open dialect and, free thought without being persecuted for it too. So I think that's the biggest thing is just having to be able to sit down with women and, seeing where they come from and being able to explain where you come from and be able to find that bridge to the middle. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's a lot of smart women, a lot of smart men, I think, and we really sat down and broke it all down. A lot of us would end up kind of in the same places. It's just the world today makes it hard to, the static. It's hard to fight through the static to even realize that, oh, I might be saying the same thing. Even with, Republicans, Democrats, Muslims, Christians, it's a lot of static in the world where Quints, Tones, Rails, Newtons. So it's a lot of static. And so being able to fight through that and understanding what the other side is actually saying,
Yeah.
I think that's the real big disconnect.
And the crazy thing is we actually gotta want to do it.
Oh, yeah. I
We
mean,
gotta want to do it. It's different to just because everybody's talking about relationships and people, you may value relationships. Well, why do you value relationships? Why do you actually want to be with somebody? What you know what I mean? I think that that's another thing too.
no.
But I agree.
Why do you value relationships?
Yeah. What is it that you
But
value
what
about
part of
relationships? Why
relationships do you value?
Yeah. So like, I think it's the intentionality behind it all. Just being more intentional. If you really want it, then what is it that you really want? And
So
does
what?
it even make sense? What you want, does it make sense? And are you in position
Can
to
I ask you
actually
that
receive
question?
what you want? Say again.
I said, can I ask you that question?
What is
I think that's an interesting question.
what's the question?
Um, why do you value relationships?
Why
And
do
I
I
guess we're
value
talking about with the
relationships?
woman right now. So,
Yeah.
um,
I value the 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 yin to the yang. Like I value the I actually value the process. I value the process of being with someone and I think that's like with me, like I don't want to buy a house that's brand new. I want to buy a house that needs work and work and make the house what I want it to be. Like I enjoy process. Like I enjoy having shitty credit in the evolution to getting to the portion, like the work. I enjoy the work behind getting from one place to the next and seeing the end result. I really enjoy that.
Can I answer that? I say because I value women. I know there's certain things that, especially when we're talking about relationships between men and women, I know there's certain things that the woman I choose gonna be able to bring to the table that I'm not gonna be able to do. There's certain ways that she sees life and certain skills that she'll possess that I'm not gonna have. You know, and I think that's the value there is finding like not just like a good partner gotta be equal, but a complementary partner. Like I gotta know where I'm weak at to find a partner that's strong in certain areas too. So I think that's the thing that I value about having a woman is like I know, or just a partner, you know, a woman that's a partner. As far as I know, if I'm weak in a certain area, that should be someplace that my partner will be able to build me up.
I dig it.
Q, you got to answer. Answer your own question.
What do I value about relationships? I think I don't know. Y'all pretty much hit on the main shits. I think that for me, I always say that I like a woman that balances me out. Because I know where I'm strong at, and I also know that I have deficits in certain things that I don't do well. And those are typically the things that in a woman I appreciate most. So there's the yin and yang aspect to it. So I mean, it's kind of like simply put inside that, in which I think that a woman and a man, they balance each other out inside a lot of different capacities. And even if we take it from like the traditional sense of it and gender roles, I think that even when you go personalities and different things like that, it's also probably good when we talk about compatibility to get somebody that balances you out as well. Because of like that's one of those lost parts of relationships, is that a lot of times we look at it inside a mechanical sense. But there is the actual human and satisfied and happiness part that goes inside relationships, that even if you're doing all the mechanical parts correctly, that we have to make sure that we pay attention and take notice to, because at the end of the day, relationships are a human process in itself. So we got to make sure that we, care for humans.
No, I fuck with it. I fuck with it. I think be a good place to transition into the positive takeaway for the week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who want to go first. I guess y'all want me to go first. I got all the eyeballs on me. But mine would be, I just saw something literally right before I came over here. It's gonna be a little left, but it was a little Dirk. He said he wasn't gonna make any more music about death. And to me, that's positive as hell, because I feel like he's one of the leaders of the new generation, and him even taking that step to say that, I think we got to see, you got to wait and see what really happened. But even him saying that kind of speak to a lot of the themes that we've had about, even last week, about whether it's on the rappers or the consumers and stuff, but for a rapper to come out and, take that kind of ownership of the music that he puts out, the themes that he's promoted, and say, I'm not making, music about gang violence no more, and I'm gonna work to end that, and I'm gonna not make music about death, especially as a black person. I think that's as positive as you can get, and it's something I talk about, not listening to, deaf music as much, people that, that's what I call it. I call it deaf music.
You know that I'm going to call you out on that for sure.
You can.
I think it's productive.
No, it is.
I mean,
I just think that it's exceptionally hard, especially knowing Johnny's taste in music, because it's a lot of really good rappers that still talk about deaf music. I think that we minimize it to like the low hanging fruit of like the little Dirks and the babies and shit like that.
You can call me out.
But Styles P, Jada, all that shit was still deaf music. We can go down. Jay-Z, he had a bunch of deaf music. Nas got some deaf music too. It's a bunch of rappers that got some deaf music. And I'm so my bad. But this was
I know I can do what I want to do if I work hard at it. I can be what I want to be.
What? I don't know.
I do what I want to do. It's just not in the fucking song at all.
All right, I have to make sure Johnny just freestyling. All right.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next, man. positive takeaway is gonna be for me is to be willing and able to apologize. You must first see yourself, um, and yeah, I believe in apologies. I believe in apologies and verbalized apologies too. It's one thing, some people try to like to show I'm sorry without saying it, but at the same time, I think to
He talking about Kyrie.
verbally address. Huh?
I see you talking about Kyrie.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely. No, I wasn't talking
I'm
about no
fucking
fucking
with you, bro.
Kyrie. Yeah, no, just be willing and able to apologize and apologize also when you see that apology is needed, so that you can make sure that it comes from a place that is real. And that you genuinely do apologize for it, because when you genuinely apologize, it's easier to actually follow through with said thing that you're apologizing for. When it's real, it's definitely much easier to implementation becomes much more easy. And so that's my positive takeaway for the juice.
Gotcha. I think that I'll just take it from this podcast. I'll probably say, let me see how I can summarize it. I'll say, set the example. So by set the example, I think that if we took the second thing of the podcast, the second segment of the podcast, and me and Tones back and forth, I think that was a great example to set of like you can like go back and forth, you can argue, you can have different like polarizing viewpoints, but at the same time, on break we're gonna chop it up. After this, we're gonna talk. Nothing changes. It's just an expression of it, and it is okay to have fair exchange and dialogue, and that is what is healthy. Have people that challenge your belief system and challenge their belief systems, because that's where growth happens at. And that's how you make sure that you're not stagnant as a person, as a people, as a community. Is make sure that we challenge each other. And I think that in its own small example, that's what that was. That always feel comfortable, and make sure you surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you, and you feel comfortable challenging them, and don't walk away feeling any kind of way, because of that's not what any of it's about. Like we have to make sure that we promote free thought, but also don't stifle it when somebody thinks differently than us.
You gotta have free thought, but you also gotta be open minded with that too.
Right.
There's gonna be people that don't think like you.
Right. And I think that it's always such an easy said than done thing, and I think that we all can probably dial to moments in which we didn't live by that. But it's an important practice, specifically, I think, to me, within the Black community, within friendships, especially inside the time period, information age that we're in which there is going to be a growing diversity of thought because of like, not Jerem, but Newton said, right now we are the first generation that's growing up as babies of the information age, the internet,
with the freedom,
with the freedom to actually, you know what I mean, be who we are and determine that ourselves. So there's going to be a lot of different thoughts, and I think that making sure that we have care for each other inside that fact, and not even care in the sense of like I have to pacify you, but care in the sense of like, I understand that you have a different perspective. I have a different perspective, but together we're all still Black people that's striving for the same goal.
No, I think I'm gonna sum that up a little bit. We all gotta be stewards.
You got sum nothing up. I killed that, bro.
You did. I'm gonna build on it. But we all gotta be stewards of this blackness. That we carrying, because like we all Black people. No matter whether I agree with you, you could be conservative, you could be on some Candace Owens stuff, but like we all Black at the end of the day. And so when we all like, there's certain rooms that we walk in and we gonna be hated, loved, looked at, just based on that Blackness. So no matter what we think, we gotta understand that we all carrying this thing with us. And we all gotta be stewards of it. We all gotta help build and make it easier for the next Black person that come behind us and stuff. And I think that's the key. And once we start looking at it that way, we'll be able to disagree easier. We'll be able to understand things. But like motherfuckers try to write, like, give me your card. Ain't no card. Like, we all Black.
Oh, the Black card.
We all Black, and we all stewards, and we all carrying this collectively. And that's my build on it.
Got you. Do want to make sure, just because the Tone was in the conversation, big shout out to Tone. Tone is our behind the scenes guy,
Producer.
engineer, producer. If I was to say it properly, I know Tone. We done known each other forever. He told me to call him Sir A. Dot. I can't call him that on camera only because I naturally call this nigga Tone. But I'm gonna keep trying.
Sir A. Dot.
Right, I'm gonna keep trying. But I do again, just the shout outs. To make sure that we show love to the people that we appreciate. And Tone, it be times we having fun, but Tone's he's still working to an extent. So I think that there's flowers. I always make sure
Tone definitely part of this infrastructure that we build in.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, Sean, I appreciate that, y'all.
How we, it definitely is a gift, a gift to the show as far as us being able to do it. We do up here. We wouldn't be able to do it the same way without Tone.
No,
So.
for sure.
Or Sir A. Dot, shout out to the guy.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that we putting a bow on it. We landing the plane.
I was gonna say shout out off cam Taj too.
For sure.
She's definitely. I
heard it's a new Instagram.
I was just about to say, go and follow off cam Taj.
Tell us what it is. You gotta get them followers up.
Right.
So the Instagram is Taj.notseenhere. I made a rare appearance for game night. That's probably the first and last time y'all see me.
Not gonna be the last.
Well, not the last time.
I
Only on the game night series will I make an appearance. There we go.
We appreciate you.
Oh yeah, but no, I think that was a productive session, fellas. I'll say follow the show at the To Be Fair Show on Instagram, Facebook. Follow us on YouTube at the To Be Fair Show. Like, comment, subscribe below. Hit the notification button, and you'll get all the updates on any new content we putting out. I am your host, Johnny P.
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
And we out.